And so a lot of customers said, oh, I'm just going to go get the MP3, even if it's kind of stealing. I'm going to take the MP3s. And how do they exchange the MP3s? Does anybody know the technology that existed for sharing MP3 at the time? It was very controversial. There was a company called Napster. You remember Napster? Very famous company that offered something called P2P, which means on the computer, you just have a laptop. If you have the internet, you can share data without anybody knowing. You can share music and movie and anything else, books. And so the P2P technology came out, and Steve Jobs was taking free music, MP3s, because he loved music. He had such a troubled heart, he loved it. So, with taking all these MP3s, at the time, the memory for MP3 players, and players are very expensive, had a limited capacity. Back then, only 256 megabytes. How big is one music file?
1.4.
About 3 to 4 megabytes, yes? So on 256 megabytes, how many songs can you put on there? Yeah, not a lot. Usually people had 25 to 30 songs. Steve Jobs had hundreds of songs. And it irritated him. Also, one of the best MP3 players that came out had a control system that's very difficult to use. Every time you turned it on, you have to go from song 1 all the way down, and you have to click to get to the song you want to play. Very difficult. I'm going to show you this. I'm going in a different order. This is what the player looked like. It was P2P file sharing technology. MP3s were compressed music files. Memory chips, they were increasing rapidly, but at that time it was 256 megabytes. And iRiver was the leader of MP3s in the 2000s. iRiver is a Korean company. But if you look at the interface, it's very primitive, difficult to use, difficult to control. So, for someone like Steve Jobs, who loves music and wants to be able to control and manage his music files, this is not a practical and best solution. What is a better solution? It's this, right? So he creates an iPod, and this is about 2003, 2004. Right as they're coming into more and more capacity for data files, he takes the mouse pad and turns it into a circle. And anytime you touch it, it says, it sounds click, 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 click. So it sounds like you're actually moving the dial when you're not. It's a virtual illusion. And so through that, you're able to manage a lot more songs, and you're able to go through that dial and organize your songs according to genre, according to type, the singer, the album. A lot more convenient, easier to use, perfect for what he wanted. So what does this mean about innovation? Innovation means that Steve Jobs was part of what we call the recreation economy. What is that? It means that you will not know how to innovate for the masses if you yourself don't know how to have fun. In Korea, we have a problem with businessmen who don't know how to have fun. In Japan and Korea, we have a problem that businessmen like to drink a lot. And when they go off traveling, they usually go look for a bar or they play golf. But their ability to have a diversity of different activities to have fun is very limited. Steve Jobs, he has a lot of different hobbies. He at one point even studied how to make baskets. Why? Because he just wanted to. He thought it was fun. What do you have that you're exploring today? Are you exploring the broad breadth of different possibilities and things that, I mean, how many of you guys have made actually a scarf, or you tried to cook something, or you tried to do something that was quite uncharacteristic of what you normally do? That's what he did. Exploring and absorbing. And in business today, the most successful companies are ones that actually balance two types of diametrically very difficult managerial processes. One is called exploitation. Exploitation is able to go deep and specialize in something, and then exploration. And that's being able to search broadly across different disciplines and fields that you're typically not used to. Many companies cannot do both well. Samsung is a very deep, exploitive company, but they don't know how to do breadth. Many companies that try to do breadth, why do you think it's difficult when you're going deep to go broad? Why is that difficult capability to juggle? Anyone have some ideas why? Why is it that when you explore deeply into maybe some kind of technology, like television technology or cell phones, that the company cannot see broadly?
Because the thinking can be limited. If you go so deep, it's limited and it's unable. This time you can research it, just as the hard drive. In that state, they know solid state. So people only use the disk to recording, even the hard drive.
Okay.
So if you go so deep, you cannot. It's difficult to research in deep. If you go around to looking for the source for solid state, it can get more faster and more capacity.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very good point. Going broadly, you get more capacity, more ideas. Going deeply, the ideas may be just related to one field, but not broadly. Any other ideas? Well, the answers, there's no perfect answer to this, but one of the reasons why it's difficult to do so is because the limitation of resources. Your company doesn't have the resources to go everywhere they want to. And companies tend to focus on their key successes, not on their failures. So if Samsung is selling a lot of cell phones, where do you think most of their research money will go to next year? Cell phones. So it drives, and it's called what we call path dependence. Previous successes tend to influence the behavior of companies and individuals in the decisions they make to allocate resources in the future. It's a very important point. So, in the recreation economy, do you know how people enjoy themselves? It's an important question. Do you understand how people recover and restore themselves, heal themselves from the busyness of the times and the fast changes that's happening culturally? How do you recreate and take time off? Ability to know what people enjoy and love adds value. And 80% of high tech right now that's being developed, that are successful companies, come out of the recreation economy. Facebook, Google, a lot of what people do online isn't about productivity, but it's about trying to recover and explore and just to relax and to learn something for fun. How are you able to leverage something like that from Laos? Now, just going back, I want to show you this. Who adds more value? This shows you from selling one iPod where most of the value comes from. So you have multiple global suppliers for different components that go into the iPod. Who has the most value? Who adds the most value here? Does a Korean company provide value from giving memory chip, or a Japanese company for providing the display? No, they're only very minuscule pieces of that pie. The design and the user interface and bringing everything together adds the greatest value. That's the red. That's what Apple contributes, and that's what they take away. If you look at the supply chain, I think you're all familiar with that. Steve Wozniak is responsible for the manufacturing part. Manufacturing and assembling and rolling out the high-tech device itself. But the marketing aspect is quite important. And that's what Steve Jobs brings into the field, right? So you all know that marketing is important. That's where you can increase the price of something to whatever it might be, based on how successfully you can tell the story or the narrative behind your product. So, in Laos, I want to ask you, is there something like a premium product here that you were able to tell a story to people, tourists, even locals, to tell them this is the highest quality and the best, and you should pay a lot of money for it? Like in Europe, we have Versace and Gucci, we have Rolex watch. Is there something similar to that in Laos? And is that story transferable to other cultures and foreigners who come here? Do they want this? So what value do you contribute, and what value does your employees and your partners contribute to this capability of developing premium products? And going further on, I'm just going to go very quickly. In marketing, we have the 4 Ps, yes? What are the 4 Ps? Some of you guys are shaking hands, you've heard of this before. Yeah, product, the development of the product. Price. Place, the location in which you're going to distribute, the channels that are involved.
Promotion.
And promotion. And yet in your business files, it seemed like you didn't talk about this at all. A lot of the teams that sent us business reports and PowerPoints to explain your business didn't really talk about pricing strategy or promotion strategy, what channels you're going to use. And it was very undeveloped. Those are very critical, right? I had a friend who started actually a yogurt shop. He had a decision to go to downtown where the rent was very high, $10,000, versus setting up a store in a family neighborhood for $2,000. It's a yogurt shop. Where would you want to set up if you were first starting up a yogurt shop? $10,000 downtown or family neighborhood $2,000? Where? How many say $2,000 family neighborhood? How about downtown? $10,000. Rent is very expensive. Okay, 2 people. Why do you say downtown?
Because there will be more customers.
More customers, but isn't it more expensive? High rent.
Because they have a high demand.
High demand. That's more important. Actually, that's right. He actually started 2 stores, and the one started in the family environment because he was trying to save money, didn't do well. So when he moved into downtown, the second time with some funding from his family, highly successful, even though the rent was very expensive. But you guys should talk more about location. Where are you going to locate? Is it going to be outside the city, within the city? How are you going to access your key segment? So, product, place, price, and promotion, which we call marketing mix. And then when you have determined this, you want to think about how you're going to enhance the value behind your strategy. So you're thinking about what is the best price compared to substitutes or alternatives? What is the best product that exists out there? So a lot of you failed to tell us what was the competitive advantage of other competitors, what did they do well, and how you were going to fight against what they did very well. And then the best service, how do you provide after service? This is an example. It's a perceptual map. Have you done perceptual map in your studies? What you do is you take off 3 to 5 most important characteristics of the product or service you're offering, and you look at it across whether or not it's going to be easily accessible to people who are low income versus high income. And on the bottom axis you have young people versus older people. And based on these attributes, you carve out different segments of the society that's going to be your key customer. Whenever you start a new business, you want to have a key segment that you cater to. You don't want to try to sell to everyone. Other people will take notice of it, but you want to have people who are innovative in their thinking, will buy your products, have strong word of mouth, and be able to promote and sell for you. Apple, they have this very strong group of technophiles who love to sleep over in front of the Apple store the night before a new product comes out. Why do they do that? Why would they do that? Sleep in front of a store? Would you sleep in front of a store for Apple product? No, maybe probably not here. But why did they do it in the US?
They would like to be the first person who owns the Apple.
Okay, they want to be the first one, so they have some bragging rights, right? But these people are very interesting people. Because not only do they provide a lot of word-of-mouth advertising, but they also investigate the product, they take videos of it, they upload it to YouTube, they write articles, they suggest new ideas about how to further develop the product. They add a lot of value. Your key market segment should be able to do this kind of work. They promote with you, and they give you feedback so that you can learn from the experience and develop further reiterations of that product. This is another example of what's done, but in this example, what they've done is they've created different product categories for different market groups. I noticed that in Korea, in Laos, you have a lot of Hyundai cars and Toyota cars too. What is the star product for Toyota? What is their best-selling car?
Best-selling car is Vigo.
Of
Toyota.
Toyota.
Is Vigo.
Vigo. Okay. In the U.S., we call it the Sonata. Do you have the Sonata here?
Yes.
Yes. They first actually developed out the Sonata as their best-selling car because they primarily oriented themselves around selling to families. Families are not very poor in the U.S. They're usually middle income or higher. And they have a long life cycle. They have the longest life cycle from middle age to late age. And so they realized, okay, we're going to have this group, but for different groups, we're also going to have specialist cars for them. So for the younger group, they have a more affordable price option, but less amenities and a smaller, maybe less interesting design. What do they call that in Laos? What is the car that Toyota sells? That's a little bit cheaper. And do you guys have here the Corolla? Corolla. Yes. It's a cheaper version of the Camry. It's not so interesting, but it's cheaper. And then further down, they have two-door car for college students and young single people who are just coming into the workforce. For the older generation who have now made a lot of money, what do they sell?
It's Lexus.
Lexus, right? But the Lexus never advertised themselves as a Toyota. Why do they not say that they're a Toyota car?
They would like to make them premium class.
That's right. So when you have a family of different vehicles that are named under Toyota, and then you have this very premium class to them, you don't want to mix the message. They all tell a different kind of story, a narrative. So when they show the advertising, they show different kinds of people enjoying it. The Lexus is a very high-end premium car. They don't want to mix with the others in the low-end pricing category. So in the same way, I want to challenge all of you guys to think about what is your star product? Who are the kinds of people that are going to be so excited and passionate about your product as much as you are? And then how do you get other consumer groups around your star product? So you have the star product, but what are other revenue streams that are possible by slightly adapting it to maybe low income and then extra high income? So you have a family of different products. What we call revenue stream is very important. In Starbucks, what is their number one product? What is their star?
Coffee.
Not coffee. They don't just sell coffee. Actually, they never use the word coffee. They say latte or cappuccino or espresso. They use Italian words, right? Because they want to give the perception they're selling something very special. But their star product is the Frappuccino. They invented that. How about McDonald's? What is their star product? Do you eat at fast food restaurant? No. Big Mac. Yeah, Big Mac. How about Burger King? What is their star product at Burger King? No, it's the Whopper. It's the Whopper. So all companies have some very important product that they push and advertise, but they sell many other things as well. So as you're growing out your revenue streams, it's important to leverage what you do well, but diversify it so that you have a broad product mix that you can offer to different market groups. I think that's all I have time for. The rest just talks about some other things that I've already mentioned. Do you have any questions before we end that's relevant to what you're making or you're proposing for us this afternoon before we close? You're all doing quite well. You have market segments and key target segments. Be able to say in your business presentation whether or not you're doing low-cost strategy, differentiation, or if you're doing highly focused, low cost, or differentiation. Many of you in your presentations don't mix what strategy you're implementing. Are you offering low cost, and you're just going to continue to produce low cost, or is it highly differentiated, or is it a niche product? All right, I think everybody's hungry, so we'll close. Thank you very much. If you have questions that you want to ask me personally, we're going to go around the tables and talk with you individually, so look forward to talking with you afterwards. Thank you.
Tao sẽ xong bằng cái này.
Mod.